The really big questions you need to ask yourself as you're assessing your starting point. What is the story I'm trying to tell about myself with my clothing?
Lizzie McGuire, you are an outfit repeater.
It occurred to me the other day as I was reflecting back on the last 3 years of running this channel, just how much my style has changed. I mean, there's certainly similar elements and some through lines, but overall I feel like it's a pretty significant change. And this was something that just kind of happened naturally as I have moved from one season of my life into another. But looking back on it, I can see where there were different phases and steps that I kind of went through that now I can put a name to, and I want to share those with you guys today to hopefully help anyone who is themselves looking to change or reinvent their style. So this is kind of a retrospective look at everything I've done the last 3 years, more accurately the last 2 years as far as the time frame that I was intentionally trying to change my style. But I'll get into the time frames for everything as we go along. So this is not going to be a quick overnight or 1 week quick fix process. This is something that I think is best done if you really sit with it and let yourself thoroughly process through each step. I think to really change your style in a way that is authentic to you and actually fits your life, probably at least a year is what I would recommend to go through all of this. Anything less than a year, I feel like is rushing it a little bit. So this is going to be a pretty chatty one. Grab a cup of tea and a cozy blanket, and let's rewind to the beginning. The first step, the first phase, I'm going to call assess your starting point. Figure out where you are right now before you just start heading off in different directions. So I started this channel in the latter half of 2019, but I don't think I was really assessing where I was with my style until a year into it. So this step of the process was definitely the least intentional for me. I never really set out to change my style when I started this channel. I just had ideas that I wanted to share, and I thought I liked the clothes that I was wearing. But over that first year of sharing content, I kind of became more aware of how my clothing didn't really represent me and didn't really fit the season of life that I was in anymore. So when I first started this channel, I had a full-time, very stressful job in social work, and I very much tried to shape my wardrobe around the office culture, which to some extent you're gonna have to do that. Whatever your job is, you are going to have to assimilate a little bit, but I think where I went wrong with that is I did not create a separate work wardrobe from my regular weekend wardrobe. I kind of had stuff all mixed together, and so who I had to be in the office bled over into who I had to be on my time off, and they kind of aren't the same person. I was really stifling my creativity with the stuff that I wanted to wear to try to fit this mold of who I thought I should be. I very much felt like I had to have this persona of a very serious, responsible, working adult, but the way that came out in my clothing wasn't authentic to me. I was still a serious, responsible, working adult, whether or not I wore those clothes that I thought represented that. So when I look back on those early videos, it is very basic and safe outfits that honestly, there's nothing wrong with them. If that was a style that I had genuinely liked and felt good in, then that would have been fine, but it just felt a little bit blah, and there was just a piece missing from it. Additionally, I think part of this came from feeling like I had to dress a certain way to be taken seriously as a quote-unquote fashion girly on the internet. The clothing represented who I thought I should be and not who I was. I didn't really realize this until about a year into doing this channel. So all of that being said, how can you apply that to yourself? Start by taking pictures and videos of your day-to-day outfits. And you don't have to share them. Having visual feedback that is not just your mirror is so important, especially video. If you're not a content creator, then it might kind of feel weird or pointless to take videos of yourself in different outfits, but you can really see your body language in different clothing, or see how you move in it, how it conforms or doesn't to your body and the way that you move about through the world. If you have the patience and want to put in the extra effort, take a few little short snippets of yourself in different outfits that you tend to wear and make a little video compilation for yourself. But if you don't feel like doing that, photos will suffice. And it doesn't have to be daily photos. Honestly, some days I'm dressed like a bum because I'm working from home or working out in the yard, and why would I get all dolled up for that, you know? So take outfit pictures on the days that you put yourself together. I would recommend at least for a month, Or if you have an adequate amount of photos from the previous year, gather all those together. That'll save you some time too. If you happen to have a lot of outfit photos from the past year, gather all that information together and lay everything out in front of you. Digitally, I suppose. Yeah, none of us are printing out pictures of ourselves in random outfits. And then once you have all those photos gathered, sort through them and figure out which ones are favorites and least favorites and what makes them that. What about the outfits that you really like makes them a favorite? What do you feel good in? Is it something about the shape of the clothing, the color, the fabric, the way it feels? And what qualities do you prioritize in your outfits to feel good? For me, it's comfort. If I don't feel like I have a full range of motion, or if the fabric is too scratchy, I'm not gonna feel good in it. I'm not gonna wanna wear it. It's not gonna be a favorite item or outfit. And then for the least favorites, what do you dislike about those things? Did you maybe feel too conspicuous? Did it emphasize an insecurity that you're not ready to address? Was the color or the fit unflattering? What about it made you uncomfortable or made you not feel like yourself? And this can take some practice to identify, and it's okay if you don't have the words to quantify why you do or don't like something. Sometimes we just wear something and it's a feeling, and it's just, I don't like this, I don't feel good in this, and that's okay. Group those pictures together into the yeses and the nos, and you might start to see some patterns, some similarities when you see them in groups. You might start to see trends as to why you do or don't like something. And the really big questions you need to ask yourself as you're assessing your starting point is, how do I want to represent myself to the world? What is the story I'm trying to tell about myself with my clothing? I know that style and fashion and clothing has different levels of importance to different people, and I think that's wonderful and perfectly okay. As someone who cares about clothing, I struggle with feeling frivolous and silly for caring about it. But the thing is, clothing is a big part in nonverbal communication. You are communicating something about yourself to people you don't know every day by what you choose to put on your body. And that message doesn't have to be particularly poignant or bold or loud, but it is something to consider. And the last part of assessing your starting point is figuring out your different style typing categories, your body typing categories. I don't know what to call them collectively. I'm totally blanking on the phrase right now. So for me, what that meant, at least within that first year, was figuring out my Kibbe image ID as well as my seasonal color analysis. And since then, I have been looking more into essences. And I also really like Style Thoughts by Rita. I would definitely check out her channel. She came up with a quadrant system that I think is really cool and helped me figure out a few more things about my style and where I want it to go. So definitely check that out. But the caveat with these is to learn what is useful to you and then get out. They can easily become a very deep, dark rabbit hole, which you will just fall and fall and fall down into and end up obsessing over, and you don't need to do that, okay? If you're not already aware, this brings us about to the point in my timeline when I made my Kibbe video, and y'all know the rest. So with Kibbe, find your image ID that is a best fit. Doesn't mean you can't play around with other options. Same with seasonal color analysis. I constantly have people commenting on my videos like,
"Are you sure you typed yourself right?"
Because I think that you're blah, blah, blah. So getting input from other people can be helpful sometimes, but also, y'all don't see me in real life. This is a flat 2D image. The lighting is often weird. You have to decide for yourself, what is your line of best fit? Okay, we're taking it back to high school statistics class. Get your scatter plot out and figure out where you can best draw a line through it. So my line of best fit for Kibbe is dramatic classic, but I also like to play with flamboyant gamine lines, and that's okay. And for seasonal color analysis, I feel like my line of best fit is soft autumn. Sometimes I play with soft summer because I can't decide if I like gold or silver jewelry more on myself. This has led to people saying that I shouldn't wear black and white, but you know what? I like black and white. I'm gonna continue to wear them. So that's what I mean by find kind of your home base, but you can stretch out from there. I'm still figuring out essences. Gabrielle Aruda, I think that's how you say her name. She has been doing these wonderful in-depth breakdowns of each of the essences. I will link her channel. I really enjoy her breakdowns of these. These are all very helpful tools, but again, they are not diagnostic. Just because you fit one category or type doesn't mean you can't play with things outside of that. What I find these most helpful for is crossing things off of your list that just majorly are not going to work for you. I find that these tools should not be used to plot out your final destination. They are more so for navigating your path to get there, and they can be so helpful in informing your choices as we move into the next two steps. I had to take a break and recurl the sides because they were driving me crazy. So now that we've established where we're starting from and what we don't like about it, it's time to move on to step 2, which I'm gonna call shed your old skin. Some of you might not like that analogy, but I kept thinking about a snake, like outgrowing its skin, or a tarantula, molting. And take note, we have not plotted out an ending point. We are not going to do that, because you might find as you go through this process that where you thought you wanted to end up is not where you actually land. I don't want us saying, well, I want to dress dark academia all the time. That might end up what works out for you, but I don't want us to get hung up on trying to force an end goal when that might not be what really works for you. So we've established why we don't like where we're starting from, so let's get rid of it. This is your decluttering phase. I won't be going into ethical considerations when decluttering in this video, but please look into how to responsibly rehome or reuse your items before just hauling them off to the thrift store. So I took about a year to establish and assess my starting point, whether or not I realized I was actually doing that. And then I took about another year to start decluttering that old way of dressing that no longer served me. So take your time with this as well. Now, I do think some of you know exactly what you want and what you don't want, and you can be very quick with this, but for me, I find that decluttering takes a little bit of time. It's like I peel back one layer and find another layer underneath. I mean, even my most recent decluttering video, within a month of filming that, I was like, oh yeah, there's like at least 5 more things I could have included in that decluttering. So go at your own pace and try multiple different approaches. I personally find the KonMari method the most intuitive to just how we are as people. I mean, it's so simple. It's, does this make you happy or does it not? And I think sometimes that can be a little bit oversimplified because there are things I keep that they don't really make me happy, but they're very useful. They're my work clothes, or just they serve a purpose. So keep that in mind as you're decluttering. There is also another method. I forget where I heard it. Was it a podcast? I want to give credit to the person who came up with this list of questions, but I genuinely cannot remember. But there was a person I heard on a podcast years ago who asked themselves these 3 questions about decluttering. They asked, do I love it? Do I use it? And would I buy it again? And their standard was that if they could not say yes to at least 2 of those 3 questions, that they would most likely get rid of it. Certainly if you can't say yes to any of them, then it should probably go. And then things that you could only answer yes to 1 of the questions were a maybe. I would like to add a 4th question to that list that really only applies to clothing and accessories. Do you like the outfits that you can make with it? Because I realized I do have some items that I like, but I don't necessarily love the outfits that I can create with them. And that's a really hard one, because if I really like the item but I don't like the outfits that I'm able to put together with it, that could just be a matter of storing it for a time. And it's okay to store things. If you have stuff that you do really like, but maybe right now the items that you have don't work with it, if you have space, store it in a little bin in the back of your closet, in the basement, in the attic, wherever works for you. Because I actually have a couple pairs of colorful tights that 3 years ago, I was convinced that I just would not wear them. I put them in storage, and I'm glad I did, because this year I've gotten a decent amount of use out of them. Because what you might find is the wardrobe you have right now, the wardrobe and the style you have right now that you do not like is the problem, not that individual item. So those things that you really like, but that just aren't quite working with the wardrobe you have at the moment, put them in storage. Find those parameters for yourself, for what gets to stay and what has to go. Anything that doesn't suit you, that you don't feel good in, that is super uncomfortable. And this is why I recommend taking your time with it. If you want to push through it, in less than a month, Godspeed to you. But I would definitely recommend not rushing this part of the process either. Don't rush any of it, but don't feel like you have to get through the decluttering part in a certain amount of time. All right, I'm talking too much about something that's pretty self-explanatory. You can go back and watch all my cringy decluttering videos if you want to see all the different methods I used and different steps that I used. I tried a different approach every single time. There is no perfect way to do it. You just gotta do it. So we've cleared out the things that definitely are not serving us, and that brings us to the third step, which is just letting yourself play. Try all the stuff that you want to try. You're gonna pull a Shakira and try everything, okay? Except not actually everything, because when you established your style ID categories, that should exclude certain things from what you try. Yeah? Are we tracking? Are you still tracking with me? Okay. And for this step, it is very important to abandon the need for labels. Don't feel like you have to dress a particular aesthetic or style or put a label on anything yet. This is your style slut phase. Live it up. So as far as different internet aesthetics or trends go, they can be great inspiration, and for me, they really broaden my horizons, and I did end up finding a few things that I like that I might not have otherwise, so use them as inspiration, but don't fixate on them as an end point. So this phase very much encapsulates what most of 2022 has been for me. I really just allowed myself to play with any style or trend that I was curious about, keeping in mind those things that I feel most suit my body type, my coloring, and I definitely got some stuff wrong. There's always going to be some duds, some flops, but within that I also found a lot of stuff that I was really excited about, that I felt really good in. And honestly, I just had fun. I had so much more fun with my wardrobe and putting together outfits this year than I have probably since high school. Back in high school, I would plan my outfit every day. The evening before, I probably spent about an hour trying on different combinations of the craziest stuff, and I would just put together the wildest outfits, but it was fun. I enjoyed that. And I felt like I was able to recapture that feeling a little bit this year, especially after coming off of a year of decluttering and low buy. I felt very restricted in that second phase, and so coming out of that into a phase where I gave myself permission to play around with my clothing and bring new things in, it was just very fulfilling, honestly. So yeah, that's the word I want to use, permission. Give yourself permission. It feels kind of silly, but going back to that idea of feeling like I had to dress a particular way as a responsible adult, I wasn't giving myself permission to dress in a way that was true to myself, even within the boundaries set forth by my workplace. Give yourself permission to wear that bold color, to wear that crazy pattern, to wear 2 patterns at once if you want. Give yourself permission to dress whimsical or piratey on any given Tuesday, or give yourself permission to wear a basic jeans and t-shirt outfit. On the one hand, there's this feeling like, well, I can't dress too out of the box or too weird, but then also this pressure, at least in online fashion spaces, there's this pressure to also not dress too basic. Nothing is wrong with basic if that's what you like and what you feel good in. Give yourself permission to do that. Give yourself permission to wear those things that you've wanted to try, and let go of those narratives you tell yourself about yourself. Oh, we're doing a little bit of therapy here. I can't help it, it's my degree that I don't use. So kind of going back to that idea of when I felt like I had to dress a certain way to be perceived as a responsible adult, that was something I was telling myself about myself, that I am not a responsible, serious adult if I don't dress a certain way. Or maybe it's, well, I'm not a person who wears bright colors, or I have to be a person who wears bright colors. You might be telling yourself, well, I should wear this or that. Whatever it might be willing to let go of those things that you tell yourself about yourself that might not be true. And that goes for all aspects of life, not just your clothing. Speaking to myself right now because I'm very guilty of this. And when you are in this style experimentation phase, do not go out and buy everything new. I mean, you can. No one's gonna stop you, but like the cost. The cost. That can get very expensive very quickly. Do not feel like you need to go buy everything new. Thrifting is your best friend. Thrifting will be your best friend in this phase. I mean, just as far as keeping costs down and the variety of stuff that you can find, but also look at the stuff you already have or maybe are about to donate and see if there's anything that you can upcycle or thrift flip within that, organize a clothing swap with your friends. This is something I still need to do, and I really want to plan it for next year. It's a little bit too much going on right now, but a clothing swap is something I really want to do in the near future. And of course, see if there are new ways to combine the clothing that you already have. There can definitely be some combinations you haven't thought of yet. And just like with step 1, I want you to document this process. And I would recommend for this phase a minimum of 6 months, ideally a year. Especially if you live somewhere that you get all 4 seasons, it's really good to let yourself go through that cycle and see what works for you within each season, within all of the different weather. Because the way I dress in the summer is not how I dress in the fall and winter. I feel very uninspired in the summer, and so I might get discouraged and want to give up in the summertime, whereas in the fall and winter, I'm very inspired. I love my sweaters, I love winter and fall colors, so let yourself go through the full year, or at least hot into cold or vice versa. And then once you have pictures from this phase of everything that you've tried out, again, you're gonna do kind of what you did in step 1, which is figure out what you did like, what you didn't like, and assess why you did or didn't like it. I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory, but maybe it's not. So for example, I played around with a lot of color this year. I typically have not been a person in the past to wear a lot of bright colors. So I did purchase a handful of things that were very brightly colored, and even if I didn't wear them out, I wore them in videos. And looking back on everything I created with those very colorful items, I learned not to be afraid of color and have definitely found some colors that I like and I want to keep in my wardrobe. But for the most part, I have realized that I just don't feel good in a lot of bright color all at once because I feel too conspicuous. I don't like wearing stuff that is like super attention grabby or super bold and flashy, and that's how I feel in colors. I tend to be a little bit more reserved in person, and so super bright colorful stuff doesn't really represent that. I mean, beyond that, I can't really put my finger on why I don't love super bright colorful stuff. I just don't. I don't feel comfortable in it. It's just too much. So hopefully that example explains that a little bit more. And so now moving on to the very last step, after hopefully at least a year of playing around with different styles and weeding out what does and doesn't work for you, the last step is to refine. Also called rinse and repeat, because to be honest, this is kind of just steps 1 through 3 on a smaller scale and much quicker. And this is the phase that I have found myself in for the last couple months and probably going forward for at least the next 6 months. This is where I currently am. So I guess technically I'm not done with this process yet, but like, I see the light at the end of the tunnel. In looking back over everything that you tried out, take note of what styles or themes were most dominant, as well as which were most representative of you. So for me, the adjectives that really came to the forefront, my through lines throughout this past year, were darker colors and themes and a sense of whimsy. And I feel like that was what was really missing from my wardrobe at the beginning. So notice I haven't said, these are my aesthetics that I dress like now. I do draw a lot of inspiration from different internet aesthetics, and I think it can be helpful to identify the ones that you most strongly resonate with, but again, I just don't want us getting too hung up on that label and feeling boxed into a particular aesthetic, because those aesthetics and trends will come and go. It is way more useful, I think, to choose adjectives. They don't really come in and out of style. So again, for me, that's darker colors and themes, whimsical elements, but also simplicity. So maximalist style has been pretty big this year, and I did try to lean into that a little bit and had some fun with it, but for the most part I find that less is more. That could just be because of having a very strong classic essence, but it's also true to who I am. I just don't like a lot of fussy stuff, so dark, whimsical, clean and simple. And there's probably more adjectives, but those are the big 3 that come to mind right now. And like I said, I am still in the process of refining and really curating my wardrobe to what suits me in this season of my life. But I'm really happy with where it is right now. Even though there's definitely some stuff I could do without and need to weed out of my wardrobe, I like my clothes. I open my closet and I feel really happy seeing all these pieces that I have carefully chosen and sometimes even made myself. I feel like my wardrobe much better represents me and the person I'm becoming than it did 3 years ago. And like, that is just such a good feeling. But with all that being said, I really don't think your style is a fixed point. Wardrobe curation never ends. And some of you might hear that and be like, no. And I'm sure there are some people out there who will find something that works for them and just run with that for the rest of their life. More power to you. You're gonna save so much money. Why did it get so dark suddenly? Bro. Okay, I better wrap this up. But I know for me personally that as I go through different seasons of my life and as my body changes, there's gonna be some fluctuation. There's gonna be stuff that stops working for me and stuff that I need to bring in. So be open to those changes as they come. I do think that now that I'm approaching 30, I have a better sense of who I am and who I wanna be and what I want my life to be. I'm probably gonna be laughing at that statement in 10 years, but more so than when I was 20 for sure. I have a better sense of who I am and how I want to express that through my clothing. So I think that while the specifics might change, I'm hopeful that the core elements of my style will not. So if you go through this whole process and find that in 5 years' time you need to do it again, don't get down on yourself. I think that's just life. There you go. There's your cringy Facebook fake deep quote for the week. So I really do hope that this was helpful for you if you're trying to shake up your style and change things. This was actually inspired by a conversation with my sister-in-law a couple weeks ago. She just mentioned that she didn't like where her style was at the moment. And it got me thinking, you know, what advice might I give someone in that same situation as a person who dwells on style way too much? So, Joe, this is dedicated to you. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, thank you so much. Leave a moon emoji down in the comments to let me know that you watched this whole thing. And while you're at it, don't forget to follow me on Instagram and subscribe. Bye. It occurred to me the other day as what is going on with this piece of hair? This one piece of hair. Hello, sunshine. Why? Okay. Oh, farts, what are they called? And I'll rink. I'll rink? Especially after sunlight, what the heck? So,